Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Does it matter if your significant other plays video games? You know, it's a really good question actually, and something I've been meaning to touch on for a while now. Brian's Man Cave just did a video on this and it inspired me to make a response on it. If you're not familiar with him, I'll put the video in the description below. Make sure you check that one out as well. As for my thoughts with does it matter if your significant other plays video games, my answer has kind of changed over time with this one. So I need to take you guys back to when I first started dating my now wife and how I always felt like video games should play a role in the relationship. I always wanted to enjoy the experiences together with my significant other, and back when we were dating, we did just that. I mean, obviously we'd go out to the bars, we'd watch sports together, we'd hang out, we'd do all these other fun things, bowling and everything. But when we're at home at night, we'd watch movies, shows, and yes, play video games. The first time I can recall connecting with my now wife on playing video games was back on the original Xbox. Yes, I know I should have a cane right now talking about this, but the original Dreamfall, The Longest Journey, I played through that. It's a single player game, but she sat on the couch or on the bed, wherever we were playing the game, sitting there and experiencing the storyline with me, helping me along the way on where I should go, and we were just having a good conversation. Even though it was a single player game, it was a good mutual gaming experience together. And from that we played other games like Dr. Mario and Bust a Move. Dr. Mario she can still beat me at to this day, but puzzle games have always been a good interactive kind of experience for our relationship. And also the basic Mario, Super Mario, and New Super Mario Brothers, where it's just easily accessible. My wife is not much of a gamer, but she does partake in it at times. Now, the reason why I started with Dreamfall, The Longest Journey back when we first started dating is I felt like I was dating someone who was into video games, but as it turns out, she was kind of just doing that because she liked being around me, I guess, for whatever reason. So she was hanging out with me while I was playing the game and enjoyed the experience. Fast forward to where I'm at right now, which is like, what's that? Almost a decade later. We're married, we got 2 kids. We don't really get around to playing video games together much at all. There are here and there times where we go back to playing Dr. Mario with each other. Maybe we play a Super Mario, New Super Mario Brothers with our kids and all 4 of us get in on the game together and play it. That's more the exception to the rule. Nowadays it's more just she likes doing her own thing and I like doing my own thing, and it's perfectly okay to have your own hobby. You don't need to include your significant other on every single thing you do. My God, I mean, sometimes I use video games as an escape to be able to just live in my own world and not have to worry about including somebody else in it. So yes, while I do enjoy the ability to add somebody into the video game experience, it is also nice for me to be able to experience as an individual hobby. As far as my wife, she'll watch shows, the generic stuff like Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, anything with the word Bachelor in it, all these other shows on AMC, TLC, the dumbest shows I could possibly think of, the Jerry Springer shows and the Maury Povich shows, trash, garbage. She watches garbage, and I tell her she watches garbage. Of course, she probably thinks I play garbage video games, but you know what? To each their own on what people enjoy. We also watch shows together, we watch movies together, but again, we don't necessarily play games together anymore. And I would like to get back to that, and I feel like this is a good video for me to kind of talk it out, find out what I'm missing in my life and how we can incorporate that together with my kids and be able to play games together more, because honestly I feel like we have gotten away from it a little too much, and that's okay. I mean, you don't have to force feed video games into your life 24 hours a day, especially when it involves other people, but it is nice to have that bridge in your life, something to fill the gaps of time where you feel like you could be experiencing something with each other, but you're just not for whatever reason. As far as my relationship with my wife is concerned, like I said, we do play video games once in a while, but not as much as I thought we would when we first started dating at the beginning to where we are now. Life changes, it throws a lot of hurdles, and obstacles for you to overcome. And you know, people's priorities change and what they actually like and what they thought they liked, and new things, new shiny things come into their life, what they want and what they want to experience. So I don't blame my wife for initially playing video games with me and being around during that time to now going more in her own direction with reading books and her own shows. But it's also, you gotta roll with the punches in your life. Not everything is going to work out exactly how you expect it to. And while I thought my wife was more of a gamer than what she actually is, ultimately, it kind of worked out in a weird way that she is exactly what she is, because she doesn't really inject herself into my life of video games, so it's not overbearing. But if I desperately wanted her to play a video game with me, I'm sure she'd be there for it. As I was growing up, I would always think like my significant other would be that player too, would always be the person to play the games with me whenever I wanted to. But back then, I didn't really know the internet would be a thing, and online multiplayer, and even YouTube or anything else with technology advances. So yes, it's kind of replaced that part of my life where I expected that other person to be there, because there are other avenues to go down when I need it if she's not available to be there for me, or if the game I'm playing just isn't up her alley to begin with. That is kind of one of the benefits of living in the golden age of gaming right now, where there are so many options and opportunities and so many freaking games to pick from and play that you just can't really go wrong no matter what direction you go with it. As far as my relationship with my wife, I don't blame her. Like I said, she can do what she wants and I can do what I want. We have our separate hobbies, our separate interests, but ultimately we do come together. We share a mutual respect and love for each other, and video games sometimes bridge that gap, but not nearly as much as I thought they would. And to be honest, having the kids kind of was one of the obstacles that came up when it came to continuing a growth in the video game space between my wife and me, because the kids always took priority in all their events, everything they do, from being born to where they are now, being 4 and 6 years old respectively. Everything they do kind of takes priority on what we're doing with our lives, whether we're going out to a theme park or a movie or just down the road to the park to play or to the beach. There's a lot of other activities that we do now to put the kids first and focus on making sure that the day that we're having fun is something that the kids can enjoy as well. And like I said, sometimes the kids play video games and like the Mario games, we all get together, but more often than not, it's more of a we're going out of the house and doing things together as a family. And maybe that will change as time goes on. I really have no idea. I'm kind of figuring this life thing out as it goes, and honestly, anyone who tells you any different is either delusional or lying. That's where I am with my wife and video games, my significant other, how we've progressed through our relationship with them, and why we don't necessarily play them as much as we used to or I'd like to, but ultimately, in the end, it works out for the best anyways. Thank you so much for the awesome topic, Brian, and as for you guys, I'd love to hear your perspective. If you have a significant other, if you're either dating or you're married, if you guys play video games together, how often you play them, what games you're playing, and if it's kind of dissipated over time or if it's grown. If maybe you've been together with your significant other and your life experience with video games has brought you closer together and you play even more games with each other. Because honestly, it's different for everybody, and I'd love to hear where you guys are with that, just so I could gauge where the community is with this. And hey, I'll even talk to my wife about it. I asked her to come on this video and she doesn't really want to be on a YouTube video. Still working on that with her because I think she'd be fantastic, but something tells me it's going to be a very long time. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing. Old school Atari videos and just gives you that retro feel, so I'll put a link in the description for him in the book.
Smash the